The warning. Everyone ignored in the deep corners of the galaxy. There was a world named Saelari Prime. It was beautiful, covered in silver forests, glowing rivers, and twin moons that never slept. But no one visited that planet without fear. Not because of the creatures or storms, but because of the Valari. The Valari were tall, graceful, and powerful. Their eyes glowed in colors that changed with emotion. But their females were different. Deadly, beautiful, feared. Every species in the galaxy had heard the rule. Never get close to a Valari female. Don't touch, don't talk, don't look for too long. Some ignored the warning. They never returned. Rumors spread. Some said one touch from a Valari woman would kill you instantly. Others believed their beauty was a trap, a weapon. Some called them witches. Others called them queens of poison. The truth? No one really knew, because no one dared get close. But one human didn't listen. His name was Daniel Cross, a former soldier and now a diplomatic pilot. Earth had sent him to Saelari Prime on a peace mission. Humans wanted trade. Valari didn't care for it, but they allowed one visitor, just one. Daniel arrived on a silver cruiser. When he stepped down onto the glowing ground of Saelari Prime, 100 alien eyes watched him. He felt the silence, the tension, the danger. A Valari elder greeted him with stiff words. "You are brave, or foolish, human." Daniel smiled. Maybe, both. He was taken to the palace. Inside, crystals hung from the ceilings. The walls shifted color with every footstep, but Daniel didn't care about the beauty. He was searching for something else. Answers. Then, he saw her. She stood on a balcony facing the twin moons. Her back was straight, her long silver hair floating in the air like it had a life of its own. She wore a deep violet robe that shimmered as if it was made of stars. The elder noticed his stare. "That is Saelari, daughter of the High Matron. Do not approach her." But she turned, and their eyes met. Her eyes were violet and green, changing like fire. But they held no hate, no poison, only curiosity. She walked toward Daniel. The guards moved forward to stop her, but she raised her hand. They froze. Then she spoke. Her voice was soft like wind, yet sharp like glass. "You're not afraid," Daniel answered. "Should I be?" She smiled. "Most are." Before anyone could react, she stepped closer to him. Very close. And then she touched his arm. Gasps filled the hall. One guard reached for a weapon. The elder shouted, "No!" Everyone waited. Daniel didn't fall. He didn't scream. He didn't die. He blinked, looked at her hand on his arm, then back into her glowing eyes. "I'm still alive," he said quietly. Saelari looked at her own hand, then at Daniel, surprised. "Interesting." The guards moved forward. The elder grabbed Saelari's arm and pulled her back. "What have you done?" But she just laughed. A quiet, amused laugh that no one had heard from a Valari woman in decades. "I didn't do anything," she said. "He's different." Daniel was taken away for testing. Machines scanned his body, checking for toxins or burns, but he was fine, perfectly healthy. The Valari doctors were confused. One doctor whispered, "This has never happened. He should be dead." The next day, the council gathered. Some said Daniel was a threat. Some wanted to send him away, but Saelari had already spoken. "I want him to stay," she said. And no one dared argue with the daughter of the High Matron. Daniel was given a guest room inside the palace. It was large and quiet, but heavily guarded. As he sat alone, he thought about what had happened. Why didn't her touch harm him? Why did she smile at him like that? That night, a small note was slipped under his door. It said only 4 words, "Meet me, midnight, garden," and it was signed. Saelari. Daniel stared at the note, his heart beating faster. He knew the warnings. He knew the risk. But he also knew one thing: he couldn't walk away now. Her touch didn't kill him. Midnight came. The garden behind the Valari palace wasn't like any earth garden. Trees floated. Flowers glowed in the dark. The air smelled like fire and ice at the same time. Wind whispered in a language no human could understand. Daniel stood in the middle, waiting. The guards didn't follow him. No cameras, no watchers, only silence. Then, she appeared. Saelari. She walked out from the shadows, wearing a robe made of starlight. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. "You came," she said softly. Daniel gave a slight nod. "I had questions." She smiled again. "And I had answers." They sat on a bench made of crystal. Around them, small blue creatures floated like living lights. Daniel could barely believe this place existed. Then he asked the question that burned in his mind. "Why didn't your touch kill me?" Saelari didn't answer at first. She looked at her hands, her glowing fingers. "My blood is poison to almost every species," she whispered. "Even my own kind fear me when I lose control." She paused. "But when I touched you, I felt nothing. No burn, no sting, just warmth." Daniel leaned forward. "Do you think I'm immune?" She looked into his eyes. "Or maybe you're something new." Suddenly a loud alarm echoed across the palace. Lights turned red. A message in Valari language blared from the sky. Saelari stood. "They know I came to meet you alone." Daniel asked, "Is that a problem?" She looked at him, eyes serious now. "For you, yes, for me, very." Moments later, armored Valari guards stormed into the garden. They pointed weapons at Daniel. Saelari stepped in front of him. "Stop," she shouted. "He's under my protection." The guards hesitated. The captain of the guard hissed, "He is dangerous." Saelari raised her hand. "He is mine." Silence. The guards slowly lowered their weapons, confused and afraid. Daniel whispered, "What does that mean?" Saelari turned to him. "In our culture, when a Valari says that, it means you belong to me. No one can touch you without declaring war on my house." Daniel blinked. "You just protected me with a sentence." She nodded. "Yes. And now, the real danger begins." Valari High Council. 1 hour later, 12. Tall Valari sat around a table made of pulsing energy. The room was cold and filled with tension. "This human is a threat," one elder said. "No," another whispered. "He's a mutation, or worse, a trick." The High Matron entered, her voice like thunder. "Silence!" She glared at the others. "My daughter touched him. He lived." The council gasped. "No one has ever survived that," a voice muttered. "The Matron added, "She has claimed him. Now we must decide. Do we study him, or destroy him?" Back in the garden, Saelari turned to Daniel. "They will come for you. They will try to break you. But I need to know." Daniel looked at her, calm. "What?" She stepped closer. "Are you afraid of me now?" Daniel smiled. "No, I was never afraid of you." Her voice softened. "Good, then hold still." She reached out and touched his chest, this time with full intent. Her fingers glowed. Her power surged. Every flower around them bent from the energy. But Daniel didn't fall. He didn't scream. He whispered, "I don't feel anything." And Saelari's hands began to lose their glow. Her venom was weakening, only around him. She stared at him like he was a miracle. "You don't resist my power," she whispered. "You change it." Suddenly a sharp noise split the air. A drone above them snapped a photo and vanished. Saelari's eyes went cold. "They're watching." Daniel stood up. "Then let them watch. I'm not hiding." The next morning, the galaxy started whispering. A Valari female touched a human, and he survived. The story spread like wildfire across secret channels and underground news hubs. Some believed it, some didn't. But everyone feared one thing: change. Inside the palace, Daniel was no longer just a guest. He was a problem, a risk, a mystery. Guards doubled outside his room. He was watched day and night. Yet every morning there was a note under his door, from Saelari. They met in secret, in hidden chambers, quiet corridors, and soundless crystal tunnels under the palace. No one could hear them, but if someone ever found them, both would be punished. Saelari wasn't like the others. She didn't care about royal rules. She didn't fear what people said. She wanted to understand him. Daniel, too, was changing. He used to follow orders, stay quiet, keep the peace. Now, he waited for every note. One evening, Saelari showed him something no outsider had ever seen. Her true form. Her skin shimmered and markings lit up across her body, like ancient codes in glowing ink. Her voice echoed with layered tones, like music and thunder mixed together. "This is who I am without. Control," she said. "Not a weapon, not a poison, just me." Daniel looked into her eyes. "Then you're beautiful." She smiled, for the first time without fear, but love in the shadows has a price. The next morning the galaxy started whispering. A Valari female touched a human, and he survived. The story spread like wildfire across secret channels and underground news hubs. Some believed it, some didn't, but everyone feared one thing: change. Inside the palace, Daniel was no longer just a guest. He was a problem, a risk, a mystery. Guards doubled outside his room. He was watched day and night. Yet every morning there was a note under his door, from Saelari. They met in secret, in hidden chambers, quiet corridors, and soundless crystal tunnels under the palace. No one could hear them, but if someone ever found them, both would be punished. Saelari wasn't like the others. She didn't care about royal rules. She didn't fear what people said. She wanted to understand him. Daniel, too, was changing. He used to follow orders, stay quiet, keep the peace. Now, he waited for every note. One evening, Saelari showed him something no outsider had ever seen: her true form. Her skin shimmered and markings lit up across her body, like ancient codes in glowing ink. Her voice echoed with layered tones like music and thunder mixed together. "This is who I am without control," she said. "Not a weapon, not a poison, just me." Daniel looked into her eyes. "Then you're beautiful." She smiled, for the first time without fear. But love in the shadows has a price. A jealous eye from the tower above the palace, Commander Zareth, the Valari war chief, watched everything. He had always wanted Saelari, not for love but for power. She was royalty. Her venom could melt steel. If she bonded with a Valari general, he would become untouchable. But now, a human was getting close. Unacceptable. Zareth opened a private channel to the matron. "This must stop," he said, "before she chooses him." The matron's voice was cold. "She already has." Zareth's hand tightened into a fist. Garden below the moon, Saelari sat beside Daniel again. The silver trees above shimmered. Her face was tense tonight. "They're watching us too closely now," she said. Daniel nodded. "Then we make it official." Her eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "You told them I belong to you," Daniel said. "Then let's prove it." He reached out and took her hand, publicly, for the first time. Just then, 3 drones zipped overhead, recording everything. Guards came rushing in, but stopped when they saw her hand glowing calmly inside his. Those Eros, venom was not reacting. It was calm. It was evolving. Council panic. "This is not natural," one elder shouted. "It's a fusion. Her venom is stabilizing. If this continues, our entire biology may change." The matron raised her hand. "And maybe that's what we need." The elders fell silent. Back to Daniel and Saelari, she leaned in close. Her voice almost broke. "They won't let us stay together, Daniel," he whispered. "Then let them try to stop us." Just then the ground beneath them shook. A blast sounded from the west tower. Alarm screamed. Daniel stood up fast. What was that? Saelari's eyes went dark. It's begun. Betrayal in the Garden of Fire. The Valari palace burned red, under the emergency lights. Sirens screamed across the towers. Explosions echoed in the distance. Daniel ran beside Saelari through the crystal halls. Guards shouted in their alien tongue. No one knew who had attacked first, but Saelari did. It's Commander Zareth, she whispered. He's starting a silent coup. He wants to take the throne, and me. Daniel gritted his teeth. Let him try. But she stopped. No, Daniel. He doesn't want to try. He's already begun. The day before, Zareth had secretly ordered a group of warriors to follow Daniel for days. They recorded every meeting, every touch, every word. Then Zareth gave one order. Take him to the Garden of Fire, let him disappear. The Garden of Fire wasn't a garden. It was a cursed zone deep beneath the palace. Lava vents steamed from the ground. Ancient machines sparked in broken silence, and the Valari believed no one who entered could leave. It was a trap. Back to present guards. Pretending to protect Daniel suddenly changed direction. One of them grabbed Saelari's arm. Let her go, Daniel shouted. Another hit Daniel in the back with an energy rod. He collapsed. They dragged him, half-conscious, through hidden tunnels, down into the heat. The air grew thick. The lights turned orange. Walls pulsed like they were alive. Daniel realized where they were taking him, the Garden of Fire. He struggled, kicked, fought, but they threw him onto the burning stone floor and vanished behind locked gates. Inside the Garden of Fire, Daniel stood alone. Heat swirled around him. Strange creatures hissed in the dark. Old Valari weapons floated in the air, alive with ancient defense codes. He coughed. His shirt was torn, his hand burned, but he wasn't afraid. He was angry. Meanwhile, Saelari breaks tradition back in the palace. Saelari stood before her mother, the High Matron. They took him, she said. The matron stayed silent. You knew, Saelari whispered. I allowed it. Her mother finally replied, to protect you, from yourself. Saelari's eyes flared violet blue. Her breath quickened. I don't need protection, she said. I need Daniel. The matron spoke coldly. He is human. His kind dies easy. We don't risk legacy for love. Saelari stepped forward. Her voice dropped low. Then I will not be your legacy. She threw off her royal badge. Guards moved, but too late. In a blink, Saelari vanished. Reunion in the fire. Daniel was coughing, near collapse. When he saw a blue light appear in the smoke, it was her, Saelari. Her skin glowed bright. Her eyes burned like stars. She floated down onto the fire ground. When her feet touched the stone, the flames pulled back, as if the fire itself feared her. Daniel, she said softly. You came, he whispered. She reached out her hand. I always will. He took her hand, and this time, something impossible happened. Where their fingers met, a glowing mark appeared. A symbol neither of them had ever seen before. Saelari stared at it, stunned. That's not from my people. Daniel looked at it too. It's not from mine either. The Garden of Fire trembled. Ancient machines turned on. Walls shifted. The bond between them had awakened something old, something hidden. Then, the voice of Commander Zareth echoed from above. So, the Poison Princess chooses her prey. He stood at the edge of the chamber, sword in hand. Let's see if your little human survives this. The human who changed everything. The chamber shook as Commander Zareth leapt into the Garden of Fire, landing with a crash. His armor glowed with red energy. His sword roared to life, humming like a storm waiting to break. Saelari stepped in front of Daniel. Don't, she warned. You're not ready for what's awakened. Zareth laughed darkly. He's just a human. He bleeds like all the others. But Saelari wasn't smiling. Daniel stood up slowly, still holding her hand. The strange glowing symbol between their palms burned brighter now, like it was alive. Zareth rushed forward, his sword raised. Daniel didn't move. Saelari's power surged, but it didn't flow from her alone. It flowed through Daniel. For the first time, the Valari venom, her gift, was not poison inside him. It was power. Daniel fights back. Zareth's sword came down. Daniel caught it. With one hand, the impact sent a shockwave across the chamber. Fire bent away from him. Lava hissed and froze under his feet. Zareth's eyes widened. Impossible. Daniel pushed him back and the commander crashed into a wall. Daniel looked at his own hands. Energy shimmered under his skin, like lightning. Under glass, I feel it, he whispered. Your power, Saelari, but it's different in me. She nodded. Because you don't destroy. You protect. Palace War Council in chaos back in the Royal Tower, alarms rang. He's absorbing her venom, one elder screamed. No, he's evolving it, another said. It's bonding with human cells. Kill him now before it spreads. But the High Matron said nothing. Her eyes were locked on the rising energy levels across the palace sensors. This changes everything. Back in the Garden of Fire, Zareth rose again, wounded but furious. You will not take her, human. He charged again, but this time Daniel didn't dodge. He stepped forward and with one glowing punch, he shattered Zareth's blade. Zareth fell to his knees. His armor smoked, his pride broke. Saelari walked over and stood beside Daniel. She looked down at the defeated general and whispered, You never had my heart. Then she turned to Daniel. You were never meant to survive me, she said softly. But maybe you were sent to heal me. Daniel touched her face gently. We were meant to change each other. After the battle, the chamber calmed. The fires stopped burning. Old machines powered down. But the mark between their hands stayed, glowing. They walked out of the Garden of Fire side by side. The guards at the gate stepped back. No one stopped them. They returned to the main palace. The silence was louder than any roar. Everyone had seen it. Everyone had felt the shockwave. The Valari Council waited in fear. Soldiers lowered their weapons, and Saelari spoke, No more hiding, no more poison. This is what happens when fear meets understanding. Daniel stepped forward. I'm not here to conquer. I'm not here to run. I'm here to stand beside her. A new legend is born. The palace halls, once ruled by coldness and fear, were now filled with something strange. Hope. Some Valari bowed. Some walked away in anger. But all of them knew one truth now. This human had done the impossible. He had touched the untouchable. He had survived the poison. He had changed their future. War of wills and blood. The news spread faster than any war. A human and a Valari royal. Bonded. Not enslaved. Not tricked. Not dead. Bonded. Every system that feared the Valari began to panic. Every world that hated humans began to whisper, and every empire that feared change. Prepared for war. Shadow meeting on planet Graylin. A dark room lit only by red maps. 12 alien leaders stood around a table. The poison race has joined with humans. One growled. We all know what comes next. They'll mix, breed, spread. They'll become unstoppable. A voice spoke coldly. Then we strike first. 12 hands hit the table. Agreed. Saelari Prime. Royal War Hall, the Valari Council was in chaos. The humans have crossed a line. No Valari female has ever taken a mate from outside our species. She will pollute the royal bloodline. Saelari stood silently in front of them all. Daniel stood beside her, calm but ready. Finally, the High Matron raised her hand. You all speak of blood, she said. But what of survival? She turned to Daniel. What you carry now is more than power. Daniel raised his hand. The mark glowed on his skin. I didn't choose this, but I won't run from it either. The matron nodded. Then you must defend it. She handed him something sacred, a crystal blade, carved from ancient Valari bone. "Others will come for you," she said. "Let them find a warrior." In the sky, the first attack 3,000 enemy ships entered Zerani space. No warning, no signal, only fire. Explosions lit up the sky. Valari towers crumbled. Civilians ran for shelter. Daniel and Saelari raced to the outer wall. She reached out, raised both hands, and her body began to glow with a deep violet-blue light. The sky darkened, and she screamed, not in pain but in power. A massive shield of energy blasted upward, covering the capital like a glowing dome. The first wave of enemy missiles exploded. Against it, the people below gasped in awe. The inner conflict, but power has a cost. Saelari's body trembled. "I can't hold it for long," she whispered. Daniel took her hand. The mark between them glowed brighter. "I'll help you carry it," he said. He placed his hand over her chest, and for the first time, shared her burden. Half the shield became gold. The energy was no longer just Valari. It was something new, hybrid, human, united. Inside the enemy ship, one of the enemy captains looked at the glowing shield and cursed. "They've fused," he said. A second voice replied, "We can't fight them with ships anymore. Then we send down assassins." That night as calm returned for a few hours. Daniel sat beside Saelari on the palace balcony. Below them, Valari children were playing. No one had feared them today. "Do you regret it?" Daniel asked. Saelari shook her head. "No." He took her, and, "Even if they all come for us?" She looked into his eyes. "Then let them come. Let the galaxy see what love really looks like when it fights back." A new beginning with an alien queen. The palace was silent. Too silent. Daniel stood in the hallway, heart racing. The guards were gone. The lights were dim, and Saelari was missing. She had been taken, not killed, taken. Inside the enemy ship. The abduction far above Zerani Prime inside a dark alien cruiser, Saelari floated inside a stasis cage. Her eyes were half open. Her power was sealed. A cruel voice echoed from the shadows. "So this is the Valari who fell for a human." It was the enemy leader, Varlak, an old enemy of both Earth and the Valari. A hybrid hunter. She thought love would protect her. Varlak sneered. "But love is weakness." He turned to his scientists. "Separate her from the bond mark. Cut it out if needed. We'll use her to breed new weapons." Back on Zerani Prime, Daniel's choice. Daniel stood before the Valari. "Hi, matron. Give me a ship," he said. "You'll die before you even reach her," she warned. Daniel looked her straight in the eyes. "Then I'll die trying." Behind him, something unexpected happened. Valari warriors stepped forward, one by one. "We will follow him," one said. "He fought for one of ours. We fight for him." For the first time in Valari history, warriors took orders from a human. The rescue Daniel's ship pierced through enemy defense lines. Explosions lit the void. He landed on the cruiser like thunder falling from the sky. Inside, his mark burned brighter than ever. He fought through guards, drones, traps, and never stopped. Finally, he reached her. Saelari's eyes opened the moment. He stepped in. "Daniel," she whispered. He raised his hand. The mark between them blazed with golden light, so bright it shattered her prison. She fell into his arms, trembling. Their foreheads touched. "You came," she said. "I always will," he whispered. The final battle. Together Varlak entered, blade in hand. "You think this saves you?" "No," Daniel said. "She does." Saelari stood, floating now, energy rippling from her skin. Daniel reached out and touched her back. His energy fused with hers. Together they unleashed a pulse of power that melted steel and shattered gravity. Varlak screamed as the wave hit. Silence followed. The ship cracked apart. But they stood, holding each other, surrounded by golden light. Epilogue. A new era begins months later. Across the galaxy, news spread of the bond between a human and a Valari queen. Old enemies signed peace. New alliances were formed. Valari and humans began joint missions, exploring, building, healing, and at the center of it all stood Daniel and Saelari. Not rulers, not soldiers, but symbols of what could happen when fear is replaced by love. A garden grows on Saelari Prime. In the place where it all began, a new garden was planted, not of fire, but of life. Saelari and Daniel walked there, hand in hand. "I used to think my blood was poison," she said softly. Daniel smiled. "Turns out, it was just waiting for someone who wouldn't run." She looked at him, eyes glowing gently. "We didn't just survive each other," he nodded. "We made something new."